What's up, the squad? Back with another video. I see the title's going down. Make sure you hit the like button, hit that subscribe button for me, please. Y'all see it in the title down below. Y'all see it. Says here, Somali, Ilhan Omar. You have not only Ilhan Omar, you have Tim Walz. And Tim Walz, make sure y'all stay tuned for the next video. Drop tonight. Definitely a banger. Definitely something that, I learned new. Something I learned, of someone. I've definitely, seen and realized that, it definitely needs to change. And I hope and pray that things go, well, when it comes to, this next election. As y'all know, many of y'all know that Tim Walz is, up for re-election. So I truly don't want that, and I know there's a lot that, also don't want that, but there's also, a really, really, good chance, based off of how Minnesota is going, and what they're doing and what they're about, and the corruption that's going on, that, I wouldn't be surprised, but trust and believe. There's a lot of things that, is coming out, and I honestly see that Ilhan Omar, as well as Tim Walz and others, it's a lot that's going down. Check it out right here, Fox News.
Legislation that led to the $250 million being defrauded. She held events at one of the restaurants that was named in the fraud case and had a former staffer who was convicted in the fraud investigation. That's from the New York Post. And 60 of the 79 people who've been indicted in this are from her 5th congressional district there in Minnesota. So a lot of people are saying, wow, there's a lot of potential links here. How much did she know about that?
Mm-hmm. Not only did she know, Tim Walz, he definitely knew a lot that was going on. He definitely knew a lot that was going on. And I just don't see, how there are, they're wanting this. So you have Ilhan Omar. She gets on CBS and saying things, honestly, that are very, 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 untrue. You have Margaret Brennan opens up, her interview with Ilhan Omar. Check it out.
We have a lot to get to with you, but I want to pick up on where the Treasury Secretary just left off. He alleged that people who were tied to you or your campaign were involved in this broad, brazen scheme to rip off the Minnesota state welfare system. Do you want to respond to that? Do you know what he is referring to?
I really don't, and I don't think the secretary himself understands what he's referring to. We obviously had people who were able to donate to our campaign that were involved. We sent that money back a couple years ago. And actually, I was one of the first members of Congress to send a letter to the Secretary of Eg asking them to look into what I thought was a reprehensible fraud that was occurring within the program.
So you mean to tell me, and this is where the lies, where it starts, I was the one who did this, and it's a lot of this stuff. They get on here, and as y'all see, as we get more into this interview, because I'm gonna show y'all some other clips. You see how nervous she gets. You see how nervous she gets because there are a lot more things that's coming out slowly about, and there's people, there's whistleblowers, there's individuals that's literally coming out. There's information that's coming out. There's people that obviously is linked up, to Ilhan Omar, to Tim Walz. So I'm telling y'all, it's definitely a lot, that's coming out each and every day when it comes down to it. Definitely a lot. Y'all hear Ilhan Omar appeared on CBS, Face the Nation, to defend Somali's link to the massive $250 million Feeding Our Future fraud. 79 out of 87 charged are Somali descent. When asked why the fraud became so widespread, Omar pointed out the community's victimhood, y'all. Check it out.
Of the 87 people charged, all but 8 are of Somali descent. And that has added to the spotlight being put specifically on your community. Why do you think this fraud was allowed to get so widespread?
Well, I want to say, this also has an impact impact on Somalis because we are also taxpayers in Minnesota. We also could have benefited from the program and the money that was stolen. And so it's been really frustrating for people to not acknowledge the fact that we're also, as Minnesotans, as taxpayers, really upset and angry about the fraud that has occurred.
Of the 87 people.
Okay, listen, y'all. My thing is, when it all comes down to it, I truly don't understand how you sit here and really, when I say all the information is literally out, all the information is out. You literally have Ilhan Omar that says, and I want to go back into what she said right here.
To not acknowledge the fact that we're also, as Minnesotans, as taxpayers, really upset and angry about the fraud that has.
So she's saying that they're upset and they're angry about the fraud that's happening, but they're doing it. It all of this literally goes to show y'all the lies, literally the lies that they tell. It literally goes to show, like, you can tell when a person is lying. You can tell by, the body language that this individual has. You can tell just by, her stumbling over her words. You can tell a lot of this, just based off of how she is and what she's saying. She done said this over and over, that, we're taxpayers and we're the... And that's what frustrates me. What frustrates me is that you're literally taking the money from actual, people that are out here actually working, grinding. There's people that need assistance, need this. You literally have Somalians that said that has new cars, new cell phones, walking around here with a lot of money in their pocket. Not only that, but having money sent to Somalia, to their families, to their government. I just truly, it's very sickening, y'all. It's truly very sickening, and I don't get it. I truly don't get it. It's all the lies. Here's Cass Patel, y'all.
Derogatory or criminal information or terrorist ties, and we are going to do that mission.
And Mr. Director, another big issue that is concerning Americans, and it involves the refugee community, but in Minnesota, is the Treasury Department's investigation of that massive fraud there in the Somali community. So how is the FBI working that, and what can you tell us tonight, given the plethora of reporting and the defensive posture of both the mayor and the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz?
What I can tell you is the FBI let out on an investigation, and we publicized it months ago. We've got 78 people that have been arrested pursuant to our investigation along with the interagency, and that investigation is very much ongoing. We are not finished. It was one of the largest fraud scams ever committed in the state of Minnesota history, and we are going to continue to interview and subpoena anyone involved with this case. It is very much ongoing and live.
There are a lot of foreign interests that seem to be...
And I tell y'all, and that was the end of the video, so I don't want y'all yelling at me. One thing about it is that they are cracking down on a lot that's going down in Minnesota. I know it's one of those things that's like something needs to happen, but I'd rather them definitely get a lot of information because I feel like there's more to it. I definitely feel like there's more to it. We're not talking at first, you had that 250 million, you had that number. And then that 250 million went to that 1 billion. And then that 1 billion went to 8 billion. I definitely feel like it's more to that. I definitely feel like there's more to it, even if it's just not money. And it's, at that 8 billion, a little over 8 billion. But just the simple fact that there's more than that. I truly feel like it is. You have that feeling, when you see so many people who this individual is tied to, who that individual is tied to, you see more and more coming out each and every day. I'm telling y'all, just by this video alone, you can tell how nervous, Ilhan Omar gets, as she giggles, about a question that's being asked. Check it out.
House Republicans and the Treasury Secretary just now talked about a link to terrorism, a possible link. He said they're just now beginning to look into it. How confident are you that that's a false claim?
I'm pretty confident at the moment because there are people who have been prosecuted and who have been sentenced. If there was a linkage in that the money that they had stolen going to terrorism, then that is a failure of the FBI and our court system in not figuring that out.
But you see how when the question is asked, it's automatically, instead of let me take accountability on things that I should have been doing, she automatically goes and points fingers. That's how you know. That's where you tell those lies at. You know, when you automatically, you don't take that and you know, this actually, well, we needed to stop. We need this. That it's always that pointing fingers. You see that from the left all the time, though.
Basically, charging them with these charges, and so I do know that for many years this sort of like alarm that there is money being transferred through the airport in bags and going to terrorism that accusation has always existed. There's never been here and there in those accusations.
House Republicans and the Treasury Secretary.
Telling you can just tell. You know, you definitely can tell when it comes down, you know, just the way she giggled, just the way, you know, she spoke, you know, and she automatically pointed the finger at, you know, the FBI. She's pointing the finger, you know, they always point the finger to Trump, you know, and even, you know, people that supporting Trump, you know, Trump's administration, you know, I'm telling y'all, it's definitely sickening. This right here just goes to show you, you know, the facts when it comes down to it, you know, that they're sending money to Somalia. Let's check it out.
$6 million. 4 years later, by 2024, cost had been over $100 million, 104. Through the first 6 months of this year, costs are at $61 million, meaning if you double that over the entirety of the year, you're looking at $122 million. In 5 years, from $2 million to $122 million. Now, why? 6 people are accused of defrauding HSS, and they're members of the Somali community. But this just gets worse. If we take a look at Minnesota's federally funded autism program. Now, several people, and this is an example, a woman in the Somali community, are co-conspirators, and they're accused of recruiting kids for autism therapy. They brought in families, had them convinced to get their kids diagnosed as autistic. In fact, these families ultimately ended up having various social services bid for their children, competing with the number and size of check that they would get. It didn't matter if the kids had autism. And what happened? Autism claims to Medicaid surged. In 2018, $3 million. By 2023, listen here, from $3 million to $400 million. Autism providers jumped from 41 to 328 in 5 years. Now, City Journal reports that the Somali fraud rings send a lot of money back to Somalia. 40% of households in Somalia get remittances from abroad. That totals $1.7 billion. Wow. That is more than the entire budget of the Somali government. Money being sent abroad, from abroad, back to Somalia. Where is that money going? Take a look at this. Most alarmingly, a lot of that money is funneled through money traders, and in the end, ends up in the hands of al-Qaeda-linked Islamic terror group Al-Shabaab. So to bring this full circle, the Minnesota taxpayers are funneling money through fraudulent autism claims back to Somalia, where that money lands in the accounts of Al-Shabaab.
Sickening. It's all right there. I mean, when I tell y'all that there's more and more stuff that's coming out each and every day, I wouldn't lie to y'all. I truly wouldn't lie to y'all. There's more and more stuff coming out each and every day about this. And when I tell y'all that it's sickening, it's definitely sickening. You know, what they're doing and how they're doing it even. You know, when I tell people, I don't just mean to tell people. And I'd be like, oh, yeah, well, they don't like Americans and they don't like America because, you know, I always say that in my videos. It's really true. Like, they truly don't care. You see them, you know, they wave their flags like they don't care, you know, and go around and, you know, they disrespect an American flag. You even had Ilhan Omar literally say and disrespect and diss America, saying that it's horrible, calling America garbage. So it literally shows y'all right there. They're literally doing and doing whatever they can to get money. Come in here and get money for their own country. That's where we at right now. That's exactly what they're doing. And it's very sickening to me. I promise y'all it's very sickening. So you have it here. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar of Minnesota told CBS News that Trump advisor Stephen Miller, a Jewish man, is a Nazi. Definitely crazy, y'all. I'm telling y'all. Definitely insane. And I truly don't get that. You know, she went on CBS saying that, and I can find the clip here. I was actually supposed to even have the clip in here, but I think it didn't get sent, y'all. So just bear with me. I've been still a little sick, y'all. I usually don't do this. I'm always prepared, so don't roast me in the comments. But you literally have right here. Let me see if I can find it.
Immigration policy. Steve.
You have it right here of what
Miller
she said
said.
about Stephen Miller.
On Thanksgiving Day, he posted, "No magic transformation occurs when failed states cross borders. At scale, migrants and their descendants recreate the conditions and terrors of their broken homelands." What do you make of this argument of failure to assimilate and sort of ruining America? How do you understand this?
I mean, when I think about Stephen Miller and his white supremacist rhetoric, it reminds me, yes, it reminds me of the way the Nazis described Jewish people in Germany. And you know, as we know, there have been many immigrants who have tried to come to the United States who've turned back, one of them being Jewish immigrants. We know the way that people were described who were coming from Ireland, Irish immigrants. We know the way in which people were described back then when they were Italian immigrants. And to me, you know, we're yes, of course, ethnically Somali. We are in this country as Americans.
Yeah.
We are citizens. We are productive part of this nation, and we will continue.
Now they're productive. I guess they're productive now. Whatever that's supposed to mean. I'm telling you, the things that come out of this lady's mouth is insane to me, bro. Like, I truly do not get it. I truly do not get it. Let's hear from Stephen Miller.
We have found so far, we believe that the Somali fraud operation in Minnesota is the single greatest theft of taxpayer dollars through welfare fraud in American history. We believe that we have only scratched the very top of the surface of how deep this goes. And you're familiar with all the scams with pretending that children have autism who are not in fact autistic, with pretending to enroll people in food programs when in fact nobody was ever enrolled, and engaging in massive fraud, lying, and theft and grift on a scale we've never seen before in American history. The total bill, the total tab for this is going to be far beyond the numbers we've already seen reported. We believe the state government is fully complicit in this scheme, and we believe that what we are going to uncover is going to shock the American people. Look, based on the records that we already have, and this is a significant undercount, by the way, 75% of the Somali population in Minnesota is on welfare. But that's likely a significant undercount of just how much of a financial burden the Somali refugee population is imposing.
Well, let me ask.
When I tell y'all that it's absolutely disgusting, y'all, it's absolutely disgusting on what they're doing and how they're doing it. And I truly don't see how anybody would ever, I'm talking about would ever support, you know, what they have and what they have to offer. It's definitely sickening, and I absolutely can't stand it. One thing about it, though, is that, and it's good news, it has here, nothing is better than the first sip of coffee while a plane full of ICE agents touched down in Minnesota to clean out the Somali fraud ring. So you literally have more and more agents. Take it also on copyrighted, but you're having more and more agents touch down. You know, it's definitely, you know, important that this does happen because of the things that's going down. You know, it's truly sickening of what they're doing, what they're causing, you know, and Tim Walz is literally letting all of this happen, you know, just freely, you know, and it's I just don't understand, you know, for the individuals that are supporting, you know, Ilhan Omar, Tim Walz, you know, and the rest of the crew that is literally trying their best to make America horrible. Shame on you. Definitely say that. Shame on you. But you already know. Make sure you hit the like button. Stay tuned for the next video dropping tonight. Catch y'all next one.